Hello everyone, I'm Denise Love, and here's a little preview of what we're going to be doing today. So let's get started. I feel like painting some little abstracts today, so I've pulled out Color Cube card 405 because I'm thinking, look how pretty and delightful these colors are. And that's what I'm going to paint from today. This is out of Color Cube 2, so this is 405 out of Color Cube Volume 2 by Sarah Renee Clark. I do link those below the video for you. And I'm going to work on a piece of the Mungyo paper, 9 by 12. I have cut it into 2 pieces because when I'm playing with color palettes, I like to work in more than one. And that way, if I love one, yay. And if I don't love the other one, it was still a good paint day. So let me grab some paints and I'll be right back. Alright, so I have pulled out my Daniel Smith colors, looking at my painter's diary, and I'm thinking Undersea Green, this color right here, is a really nice complement to that color. And then on the next page I've got this kind of darker color, and I'm thinking, what about that quinacridone fuchsia? I know it's a little brighter, but I think it will still be cool. And then I've also pulled out iridescent ruby, just kind of maybe one of these lighter colors, and this pearlescent white, since we've got white up here. And I think with that pearlescent can kind of mix with some of these reds and that green and look really cool. So I think that is going to be the start of my color palette. And then of course I might mark make and do fun stuff on top of that. So let's just pull out our colors. This one's getting kind of thick. See, the only way you waste your paints is when you don't use them. When they dry up in the tube, you've wasted that whole tube of paint. So let's start being less afraid of our paints and our papers and not waste our paints in the tubes. This is why I love doing this practice, and me making YouTube videos has set me along basically a daily, close to daily, maybe not completely daily. This is my Raphael brush 0. I might move to my other, you know what, I think I will move to, nope, that's the same brush. No, okay, we're going to use this one. This kind of has been close to a daily practice for me because making these videos for you guys just makes me want to get in here and create more often. And I'm like, ooh, what can I make today? Whereas before, you know, maybe I would get an idea this month and be like, ooh, let me make a class this month, and maybe I wouldn't. And then maybe, you know, I didn't come back up to my art table for a while. And so this has really aided me in my own art practice, kind of coming up here and being like, all right, what can I make today? And record for a fun video, and then have some YouTube content and some good practice here at my art table. And this has been like the best thing for my art practice. It was like the best thing too for my photography practice, because doing the deep dives and doing workshops really caused me to practice my own skills and grow in the different things that I wanted to study. And if I didn't do that, the workshops and stuff, like that was my purpose for creating. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today with the different skills that I was able to do. Find your purpose when you're creating art, and then you have a reason to show up and create. Like, what, you know what I'm gonna do? Told you you're gonna see this in the next 15 videos. We got our cardboard over here. oh, don't do that. Okay. All right, we're just going to do this while we're painting the next one. You're just going to see these a bunch. Okay, so that one was mostly red. The pinks. Let's do like a bigger green and see how we can make it different. You're totally going to see that in every video. I'm like obsessed now. You're going to see the different things that I get excited about as you go, and they just kind of flow into the next thing and flow into the next thing, and that's just kind of how I work. I love it. But yeah, find your purpose. What could your purpose be? Maybe your purpose is not making workshops and YouTube videos. Maybe your purpose is entering an art show at your local gallery or local fair, or online. There's online art shows that you can do. Maybe that can be your goal. Create pieces. Ooh, maybe you want to submit to magazines. The Stampington magazines are some of my very favorite magazines, and they're some of the easiest to submit to, and they have calls for submissions in the back of every one of their magazines. So maybe that could be your goal. Create so that you can submit to magazines. So it's really good to have a goal for your art creating, because now you're like, let me go show up. Whereas you don't know how many times I thought, oh, I want to go create something, and I thought, why bother? What am I going to do with it? It's just gonna, sit in my closet or wherever. And then I kind of, let's just do the back of our paintbrush and smear this paint out here. And then I just wouldn't create. Like, I talked myself out of it because I got into the, what am I going to do this? What is the reason to even bother mindset? And so coming up with a reason for myself to show up at my art table, like doing these with you guys, I advance way further than if I just did it every once in a while when I got past my why bother attitude. Because I'm the worst, because I'm like, what am I even going to do with this? Because my goal is not to sell art, and it's not to enter galleries and contests and stuff. I have been published in several magazines with the photography stuff, but like, that's not really even my goal now with the photo stuff. So what is the purpose? Let's do this. I got the other one right there. Okay, let's go back to this one and see what we got. Look at that. Okay, now that was very interesting actually, because that was so wet and there was a lot of white in there. We soaked up a lot of that color to the point of the color is almost completely gone. So now let's come back and add some color in here and get some of our definition back. I must have used a lot of white in that, because that just all disappeared, didn't it? And I'm not trying to get rid of the yummy lines that we just created, but I did get rid of a lot of color. We could always set it back down, but I think then our lines would be a little different. So let's just add another layer of color in here. Oh, see, now I'm kind of liking that. Feeling good about it there. Yeah, find a reason. Why do you need to show up and create? Are you trying to learn a new skill? Do you want to submit to a magazine or a show? Do you want to show your work in galleries and have a little portfolio that you can then take to galleries to say, I'm interested in being an artist in your gallery? That's the purpose of my best friend. Her reason for creating is because she did want to be an artist in galleries, and so that gives her the reason. They're like, we're having new show this month and we want you to come with some new work. And then she's like, oh, I gotta shoot new work. And so that is her purpose for creating. And when you have that purpose, you create things like you never would have ever created before, because otherwise, what is your purpose for creating? And you might just be like me and be like, why bother? Okay, now I'm really liking that. And I kind of want some lines outside like we did on the other. So let's just get some of that wet stuff going. And you don't have to do that. This just happens to be what I wanted to see. It's just playing, having some fun with your paints, discovering new stuff. Okay, I like it. All right, now that we saw that we lost some paint when we did that over there, let's see, what do we get over here? Ooh, look at that. Oh my goodness, look what that cardboard does. Super cool. All right, so I am kind of wanting to maybe smooth a little bit out, bring some of our color in, and because I don't want the whole thing to be lines. I want those to be like accents. So while it's still wet, we have an opportunity to move some of that stuff around. If we left it and walked away, because usually that's what you kind of do with the cardboard, you let it dry completely and come back to it. But if we had done that, we would not have been able to add color and smooth out a few lines and keep some lines where we wanted it. It's a little less strategic in what we might want to keep and not keep. So that's kind of interesting. Raw. I think this one's going to be my favorite today. I like it because it's lighter and more white. So this might need some white on it. Alright, so now I need to let these dry. And I want you to think about, what is your purpose for creating? Because without that purpose, you don't show up nearly as often as if you do have a purpose. Like, I show up minimum 3 or 4 days a week. Oh, you know what? As I'm talking and thinking, new ideas are coming to me. Maybe a tiny bit of splatter. You know, because I have a goal to create videos, I now show up often, 2, 3, 4 days a week, where I didn't do that before. I might show up every couple weeks, but I wasn't showing up every week. If even every couple weeks. I mean, it's kind of hit or miss. Like, how busy am I? Do I really want to bother this week? So, you know, now that I'm like, ooh, I got YouTube videos to make, I'm like, ooh, let's go make something fun. What can I make today? Man, I made so much stuff. I got a whole box of art of yummy, pretty things. So what is that purpose for you? What is going to get you up to your art table creating this week? Okay, so let's let these dry and I'll be right back. All right, so that has dried, and because I'm liking these little damask stencils, which I'll link below. It's a little set of 6 I got off Amazon. I kind of want a little bit of this green, not green, it's green because I painted green, but it's like, I don't know what that is, but it looks like those cutout brick things that used to do patios in the 70s. And I have some of this fusion paint that is right on with that color. And I need a little dry sponge. Here we go. So I want to kind of have a subtle pattern in these larger areas that I might not have picked the right color, but I was kind of feeling like I wanted it to be really subtle in the middle of that. Oh, see, that's pretty cool. Could have been brighter. But I do actually like that so much that I might do one over here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm feeling that. Just a little bit. Not a lot, just a tad. Just a tad. Just so there's something else in there. I could have done some botanicals. You could have done all kinds of stuff. Okay, so now what else do we want to add to this? What else do I want to add to this? I definitely want to do some gold, some filling gold today. All right. I'm filling gold with my Kakimori nib. And if you don't have that, you could do gold in your fine line applicator. That's a nice, inexpensive, excellent way to do these. But I want to do some fine lines and maybe dots. Add to my little circles that I got going in here. I could have done silver. You know what I got? I've got a silver one. Maybe we'll do silver over here. I don't know. I sure love the gold. Oh! Let's see, we could come over here. Ooh, I like it. Add some fine little little pearls in there. You know, I mean, are you really having fun if you don't have sound effects? I guarantee you I have more fun than most people painting at my art table, joking and kidding and laughing and thinking of stories with you guys. Helps you be less serious. You start experimenting. You don't get stuck. You just start going, ooh, what if I did this? Like, I want that phrase to run through your mind when you feel stuck. Be like, ooh, what could I do? What would Denise do? Oh, ooh, those are big. I did not mean to do that. Let's spread that in with a palette knife. Spread it in. Ooh, yeah, let's do that. Oh, yeah. Let's do that over here so it don't look like we didn't do that on purpose. There we go. If you do it on there and then you're like, oh, that was a mistake, do it again, and then it was a choice that you made. Yeah, then you turn it into something that you did on purpose. No mistakes, happy accidents. And then you're like, well, how can I make that happy accident be not an accident? Do it again. That's how. That is how you fix that. Don't get upset when you're like, I ruined it with that piece of blob. No, you didn't. You just made the blob bigger, and you're going to just spread that in with a palette knife, and then it's going to look good. Use one with the little fine little tip on it like that, and you can be more precise. You know, because after you shake the ink up, it's got big bubbles in it, and you know, you never know when that big bubble is going to be like, oops, let's just drop right here where you didn't want it. And you can use a little paintbrush to do this too. You don't even need a fine liner or a pen. I just like the pen. That's my personal preference. That's what I like to use. That's what I'm going to pull out because it's what I like. You figure out the things that you like, and you know how you do that? By making a lot of art. And then you're like, okay, here's the thing I like the best. Okay, so I'm loving that one. Kind of wondering over here, do we want to see what the silver looks like? See, I should have done the silver over here, and then I could have been like, okay, I liked it or I didn't like it. All right, so I did put some of the Kuretake silver. Is this the silver? I think this is the silver. It's just like the Kuretake gold, but it's silver, but it's not like mica. It's just silver, and so it's different. And your ink does dry out, so be sure to put your lid back on when you're done. Clean your tip. Yeah, the silver's just like pearly colored. It's not like the gold. And so it's kind of like, is that the one I want to use? But you know what? Let's just do it. And then we can see, did we like it? And if we do it like right up here where we could do like some other shapes, like I totally didn't like none of that. Let's see if we can pull that off. Oh, not really. Okay, I didn't like that. Let's do it up here though, because that makes it on purpose. That does not wipe off. I wish I hadn't done that. Darn it. Let's get some little dots in there. And I found on these, if you hold it basically on its side, you can control the ink a lot better. Now I'm just like, let's just do whatever. Kind of thinking that now that I did that, I might can get rid of that. This is all about, can you fix a mistake? Oh, sorry. What if we had a little bit of paint? Maybe we could. Let's just see. Let's just test this theory out. You know, could we smooth some of that back out so that your piece isn't ruined? I want you to think of some of these ideas, like how could I fix something if I did something I didn't like? Could I spread that back in? Look at that. That stuff spreads right back in. All right, so this was a very interesting little test. And we'll see. And it'll probably give us like some metallic looks rather than, I don't know why I did that circle off in that direction. That's what ruined it for me. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? I told in the last one of these videos recently that I talk like that to my doggies and they get so excited, especially at dinner time. I'm like, who's ready for dinner? And they start doing like little loop-de-loops. They're so excited. And then everybody's like, what kind of doggies do you have? And I have a little Yorkie that's maybe 8 pounds. And I have a Morkie, which is a Yorkie Maltese mix. And she's about 10 pounds. She's blonde, and the little Yorkie looks like the little tan and black coloring of a Yorkie. Okay, so let's let this dry. And so the little Morkie kind of takes after the look of a Maltese, but she's a blonde Maltese. And, you know, Maltese are normally white. So the Yorkie looks like a Yorkie, and the Morkie looks kind of like a blonde Maltese. She's super cute. All right, let me dry this and see if we fixed our mistake. All right, that does look a lot better. I feel like I need a few of these little pearls over here to match what I did on this other part. But other than that, I'm thinking we did a darn good job of fixing that. And now we can go back on top with other materials. So I'm thinking you could do acrylic paint, you could do woodies, you could do pastels. I mean, there's so many choices. I think I'm gonna pull out some pastels. I've been liking these Mungyo pastels because they're not very expensive for a ton of colors. And I even got like the 72 color set. And now I wish I'd gotten like the 500 color set. I mean, they've got like an obnoxiously large quantity. I don't think you've got that many, but I'm just exaggerating. But I'm like, I wish I'd gotten all of them because it is so much fun to play in the pastels. And because there's so many colors, you know, I can be like, ooh, did I get the right shade, you know, for our piece? So I'm kind of feeling like I want a few somethings of maybe this pink as another layer. Because as I mentioned in an earlier video, I'm in my more layers phase. And I'm sure in a month from now, we'll be in our minimalist phase. And then 2 months after that, I'll probably move into my who knows what phase. I just like to play and experiment and kind of morph into different things that inspire me at the time. Okay, so those were fun. I do kind of like those. And we can add that layer into our areas over here that we corrected. Kind of subtle. It's not one of those that jump out at you, but I kind of like that it's subtle. And I could pull a green, like let's see, are any of these perfect? Ooh, that one's good. This is like the same color. And don't be afraid to, like, if you've got these cards, flip them over. There's like several shades within that. Like I could have gone, you know, in a lighter shade. That's why I'm like with these, I don't feel stuck into doing the exact palette because it's all about experimenting for me. Oh, see, now I like the green. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling the green. Feeling the green, people. Oh. Yeah, I'm doing a whole series of videos right now at the same time. And I think I'm going to take a break, and then the next set of videos hopefully will be a completely dramatic difference from the set that I'm doing now. Let's see. Okay, so I'm loving where this is at. Let's maybe polka dots and I feel like I could be done. I mean, you could always use a tiny bit of a dot, a white dot. Oh yeah, that's exactly. A little tiny bit of white brought back. And you could do smears of paint with a palette knife, you know, whatever your thing is that you like to do. You're always going to see things that I like to do, and then I have people randomly request stuff, and I'm like, well, I may remember that, I may not remember that. I don't know that this is a request channel per se. It's more of a, you're following along on whatever I happen to be inspired by that day. So don't feel like you have to watch me do something and say like your favorite colors. If you like to create in colors that are different than what I'm creating in, you know, paint with me, but paint in the colors that you choose, that you like, that are going to inspire you. That's really my goal, is to get you to start experimenting and playing. And if you start experimenting and playing and painting exactly what I paint, you know, to get yourself started, that's perfectly fine. We all learn by watching and then trying out what that artist has done, and then we veer off into things that we liked and we didn't like, and that's how we develop our own styles. I mean, that's how artists have learned all through history. But don't feel like you have to do exactly what I'm doing. These are not projects where I'm like, this is set in stone and these are the only supplies that you can use. This is all about intuitive painting, getting excited to create, picking colors and saying, what can I create today? Let's just see where the paint day leads me. I want you to get excited. I want you to have this same joy that I get when I paint and sit and then I'm like, woohoo, look where we ended up. Because I'm pretty excited where we're ending up here. Okay, so now that I'm kind of looking at this, I'm like, does it need, one last thing, does it need maybe a little bit of black writing? Like some touch of, I feel like this might need a touch of something. So I'm feeling like black writing. So this is my regular dip pen that I'm using. And I'm just kind of thinking, you know, to do some scribble. It's not really saying anything at all, but it's pretty and you're like, ooh, what does that say? And you kind of wonder what I wrote. And then you think, ooh, I kind of think this is what it says, but you're not sure because it's actually nonsense writing. It's acymic writing. And that is a very popular form of writing in art history. A lot of artists have done it for hundreds of years. You can look that up and get all kinds of good ideas on the scribble. Some of it looks kind of Asian when you kind of go down rather than across, but it's just fun. It's fun, fake scribble writing. It allows your viewer to look at that and think, what do I think that says? It might speak to them in a way that it speaks differently to the next person that looks at it, which is what I love about it. It's not saying anything specific, but if you have favorite sayings and you have really cool handwriting, go for it. Okay, now I feel like we got there. Some days it just takes longer to get there than others, but I feel like if you're not sure if it's there, if you're not sure if it's finished, maybe it don't have enough layers. And if you're scared to mess it up because it's like the most amazing thing you ever painted as a background, set it to the side until you feel like, okay, now I know how to finish this. You don't have to finish every piece of art today. I start in pieces sometimes and set them to the side and next week come back to them. You can work on art in multiple sessions. Okay, haha. Look at this. And here's our original inspirational color palette, which I think we did pretty darn good hitting those inspiration colors. I stuck to the color palette all the way till basically the end when I added that black. And even though I thought, oh, I'm not going to like this after I ruined it, we did come back and smooth those in, and actually it's still kind of my favorite. So cool. And this one is super fun. I'm not hating it at all. I am liking the little bits that we can see that shimmer in there. So overall, this was a fantastic paint day with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to tag me on Instagram at Two Little Owls Art if you want to share what you're working on. You can join my Facebook group for art people down below the video. I link all those with the supplies, and I'll see you next time.